Welcome back to the Crystal Gaming series. Today I'm going to be showing off a ton of features that I've added since the last video and also why this video has been taking so long. So this video has been taking forever because I've just added a ton of stuff and I'm sorry that it took 8 days, but that's just how it is. So I'm going to start showing off the features. Here's a list of the features that I've currently added. So I'm going to start off with the new UI. So I removed that demo window thing and added like actually functional UI, so I'll just go ahead and run it and show you what all the features are. So here's the UI, and you can actually change these transforms of these objects. This is Z, it does not work because it is 2D and not 3D rendering, so that doesn't really do anything right now, but it will later. This is moving that. So I've actually also added alpha transparency, as you can see, so I can actually like move these out of the way. And you can see that there's no background on this pixel art crystal. And I was also going to mention that I have fixed the aspect ratio. So as you can see right here, last episode this triangle was like stretched out, I guess, and the aspect ratio was not correct. So I fixed that this episode and now it's perfectly fine. But yeah, you can basically move around all these objects with the transforms. I've also added camera controllers, so if you use ASW and D, you can move around the camera, so it's forward, back, left, right, and then Q and E to rotate the view. I've also added material system that will be definitely upgraded later. You can basically pick colors for the squares, which is pretty cool. And I've also added a better shader system, so I've added down here shader library, so you can basically load shaders from files, and I've got a string interpreter that can basically split two different shaders into one, so it splits one file into two different shaders. So I've got this, you can specify type. Up here I've got the fragment shader and the vertex shader, and it'll just split it when it compiles to this, and this it'll just split to that when it compiles. I've also, as I said earlier, added this orthographic camera controller. So I've added an orthographic camera for now. I'll do a perspective when I do 3D rendering, but there's not really any point when I'm doing 2D, so I'll add that later. Here's the UI code, and I basically got a actually good rendering system now. So this begins rendering with the orthographic camera, and then this ends it. This is binding some of my shaders to the GPU, and then submitting them into the render queue to be rendered. And then up here I've got this render command clear and render command set clear color, which is basically just a easier way of setting the API's clear command and clear color so that you don't have to call it per API. And then I've also got loading in shaders with the shader library. So as I said earlier, you can have two shaders in one file, so you can get this to load in those shaders, and it basically will just steal this prefix and store it in the shader library. So especially with this texture shader down here, you can see that I'm getting that and loading it into this variable, and then using it to actually render those squares there, which is pretty cool. And then I'm actually using GLM now to do a ton of stuff, like translating the positions and scaling objects. You can also zoom in and out, which I forgot to mention earlier. I need to add panning because that's pretty cool, and I would like to have it, but currently I only have zoom. You can zoom in a lot. There is a minimum for zooming in, because if you actually let it zoom in to a negative value, it'll actually flip everything upside down. So I fixed that by just adding a minimum zoom value like that. And then I'm trying to look for anything else. Oh, vertex buffers and vertex arrays. So I've added those just to handle all the vertices and things such as like this. Up here, vertex buffer, vertex array. There's really a ton of features I've just added. I'm probably forgetting something. Oh, these refs. Okay, so these are basically just a macro for saying shared pointer, because it takes too long and it's just cluttery to have shared pointer here. This literally just replaces shared pointer. And as you can see, I've got these textures. So texture 2D. This is just the one for that checkerboard, and this is one for the crystal pixel art thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it for what I've added. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and show your support. And that's it.